Thank you, Rich, and good morning, everybody. Appreciate everyone joining on a holiday week here. Obviously, the last several days, there have been a lot of moving parts with our organization, a lot of tough decisions, and things that we felt like we had to do that were necessary for us as an organization to move forward. I'd like to start this by saying thank you to Marcus Semien and his family for everything that they've done for our organization. Marcus came here after a 100-loss season, chose to come here and sign and be part of our organization in hopes of helping us win our first World Series championship, which he did. And we are, as an organization, forever grateful to Marcus for all that he accomplished here in his time. Marcus is a championship caliber player and certainly is going to go do great things with the New York Mets. And, the thing I'd say about this trade is that in order to get great players, you have to give up great players. And we feel like this was a decision that was necessary for us. And we're very excited to welcome Brandon Nimmo to our organization and looking forward to Brandon helping us achieve great things moving forward too. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions. Ross is on here as well and happy to answer anything that you guys have for us.
Sean McFarland, go ahead.
Hey, Chris. I guess could you just walk us through kind of how this trade materialized? I know at the GM meetings you'd mentioned, it wasn't your goal to come into this offseason and move, one of your bigger contracts, one of your bigger players. But kind of how did this happen and what made, this trade a specific fit for you guys?
Yeah, Sean, the trade sort of developed over the last couple weeks as we had our normal check-ins, really with every club about our off-season priorities and goals. And hearing from the Mets what they were looking to accomplish, and then kind of brainstorming and talking through concepts that may work for both sides. And as we talk through this conceptually over the last several weeks, I think it started to make sense for both parties, and then we had to find common ground in terms of what the value of the deal is, and in the end, we were able to land on a spot that we felt like was fair and good for both sides, and so that's how it materialized. In terms of why we felt it was necessary, obviously, the last couple years, our offensive performance has not been where we needed it to be. We made a decision a few days ago on Adolis Garcia in terms of non-tendering him, and we felt like part of our offseason objectives is to get back to being a team that really has 1 through 9 very high quality at bats. Brandon Nimmo offers that. Brandon Nimmo is a very, very tough at bat. He's a grinder. He is a very smart, intelligent player, well prepared, knows how to work an at bat, work an opposing pitcher, and we feel like fits the profile of player that is going to be very, very good for our lineup. And so, it was a tough decision to move on from Marcus. Obviously, we're giving up something in second base, but we felt like we could backfill that internally or potentially externally if the right opportunity is there. But adding Nimmo to our lineup and our outfield, we felt like gives us one of the better outfielders in the big leagues with Wyatt Langford, Evan Carter, and Brandon Nimmo.
Thanks, Chris.
Jeff Wilson.
Hey, Chris. So Brandon Nimmo is now your right fielder. Is that correct?
Yeah, Jeff, we're not 100% committed to that. I think it's likely where he'll play, but that's conversations that we'll have with Brandon, with Skip, with Wyatt, and really making sure that we understand all aspects of this and where they're most comfortable. And but I do think we have three very good, talented, very talented outfielders. At the outset, I think it's likely Brandon plays right, but I think that's a further conversation.
Okay. And then you mentioned the internal guys. Do you have a pecking order, or is it a mixture of Josh Smith, Cody Freeman, Ezekiel Duran, or maybe somebody else I'm leaving out?
Yeah, I think there's actually beyond that, Jeff, and no, there is no pecking order. This is right now it stands as a competition. I think competition for the roster is a wonderful thing, and Josh Smith, Zeke Duran, Cody Freeman, Sam Haggerty, Michael Hellman, all can play second base, all can play the infield. And so, we're looking at right now, I think certainly, it's wide open and these guys all have opportunities to come into camp hungry, and to win a job.
Yeah, and then I mean, in the last 4 days, you guys have parted with two guys who were three guys who were four guys who were instrumental in the World Series. I know it's a business. Is how difficult were these decisions though, based on the memories that they helped create?
Yeah, Jeff, it's extremely difficult. And I don't want that to get lost in this because these are really, really tough decisions. And Ross and I and other members of the front office have had, really sleepless nights over the last, week to 10 days as we've contemplated these decisions. And ultimately, we're tasked with doing things that we feel like are in the best interest of the organization moving forward and putting a winning team together and a winning team that fits a style of play that is necessary for us to win with our manager, with our personnel that we have, and in a ballpark that has played a little bit differently. And so, it's not lost on us what these players accomplished and their connection to our fans. And it's really really hard to make these calls knowing that. We're going to upset people, and I hate that because our fans, matter immensely to us. I've said it before. My connection to this community and this fan base. And so I don't take that lightly, but I do think that we are focused on winning moving forward. The last 2 years have been very difficult as we feel like we have not lived up to our expectations. And when you don't meet expectations, you have to make tough calls, and that's part of this.
Thank you, Chris.
Kennedy.
Jeff asked all my questions.
Okay, Steven.
Chris, I just want to ask. I mean, we all were aware of what Marcus said late in the season, kind of raised some eyebrows. And he said he kind of knew what kind of team he wanted to play for, and it raised questions to some people on what he meant. Did you ever talk to him about that and get an idea of what he really meant?
Yeah, and look, when Marcus said that, I don't think the full context was really considered. Marcus has a tremendous heart, and Marcus wants to win. And sometimes when sound bites are said, they can be misinterpreted. We did get clarity from Marcus what he meant by that, and it had nothing to do with not wanting to be here, not believing in the Texas Rangers, and that had no bearing whatsoever in our decision. This was a straight baseball decision. Marcus Semien's a champion player, and like I said, we'll always be grateful for what he's achieved and accomplished here.
And like you said, you've had a lot of movement these last few days and a lot of sleepless nights. But it also seems like it could only be the beginning of what could be a very busy offseason. Is that an accurate thought?
Well, I mean, the reality is that I think it needs to be. We didn't meet expectations last year, and we need to improve. And so it's our job as a front office to go out and make moves that are going to advance this organization and advance this team forward. We believe we've got a great core in place, and this team is built to win, and we believe we can win. And with that, it's our job to go add pieces of the roster that can round out the roster and make us better. And so, this is all part of it. I think, most off seasons should probably be this busy.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Go ahead, Sean.
Chris, when you look at the last few days, Marcus traded, Adola's gone. Like those are big faces, voices, figures in the clubhouse. And now you're bringing Nimmo, who's also a veteran, been around, been on playoff runs. How do you expect this to maybe impact I don't know if chemistry is the right word, or just the makeup of the clubhouse with a lot of familiar faces out in a new veteran face in?
Yeah, Sean, it's a great question. And I can only speak to my previous experience in this, and that, no two teams are the same. And every year, whether you bring back the same team and you run it back with the exact same group of guys or close there too, or you change it over completely, no two teams are the same. And so chemistry varies year to year, team to team. And so I think most importantly is we're losing a winning player. We're bringing in a winning player who cares immensely about winning and competing. He's had a taste of the playoffs, but he has not won a World Series. When I talk to him in this process, one of his goals is to win championships, and that aligns perfectly with our goals. Is that we won a championship, but we're not satisfied. We want to keep going, and so. I have full confidence in the person we're bringing in and the fit in the clubhouse, his desire to win, and the collective commitment that he's going to exhibit to achieving our goals. And the reality is when we have 26 guys that are committed to that, then special things are possible. And so that's our goal, is to get that. And Sean, I think the most important part of this chemistry is really going to be the hunger of these players. I mean, every single player on our roster, every person in our organization, myself included, should have a burning hunger right now to come out and to prove that last year and the year before was not who we are. And I'm extremely motivated. I know Ross is. Skip is, and every player right now should be working towards this goal of coming into camp ready to go and ready to compete, because the last 2 years of underperformance was not good enough, and that I don't think is reflective of the talent that we have on our roster. And so if every player does their part, the coaches do their part, we as a front office do our part, I do believe special things are possible. But that hunger is critical, and that hunger also fuels team chemistry too, because you have a group of guys that are committed to one common goal.
One more thing for me. So just with the trade and the money involved in the positions it opens and the positions it fills, does this impact or change at all maybe any offseason plans you had a month ago versus now, with kind of maybe the new holes it opens up and the ones it fills?
Yeah, obviously, we made the decision. The outfield is in a very good spot. We feel good about our outfield depth. We now need to take a look at the infield and determine, are our internal options the right ones? And if not, what are we going to do there in the trade market, the free agent market? We made a decision at catching. We've got to find another catcher at this point. So we'll be in the market there, both trade and free agency. We've got, a bullpen to build. And I'd like to add starting pitching. So there's a lot on the to-do list. We've got a lot of work to do left ahead of us, but we do feel like this move was a very significant move in making our team better and advancing us forward.
Thank you.
Jared Sandler.
CY and Ross, I'd love each of your perspectives on this. CY, you mentioned the quality of at bat. So I'm sure that plays a role, but I'm just curious how Nimmo and maybe the athleticism and the ability to hit lefties and righties gives you flexibility with the lineup and maybe changes the dynamic in the lineup. How does he add to what you guys are trying to accomplish in that regard?
Yeah, Jared, I appreciate you asking. I think that, having a player who is not going to be a platoon player, who's going to be an everyday player, plays against lefties, righties, plays solid defense, it's huge. It gives us more flexibility in taking some of these other players that are versatile and being able to spread them around the diamond. So it's a really, really big move, in our opinion, in terms of creating some stability in the lineup and some consistency in the lineup, which I think is important. And Brandon, like I said, the quality of the bat that he offers versus lefties and righties is really good, and I think it's going to make us better, and it allows us to deploy some other players in ways that can make us pretty dangerous.
Ross, anything?
Similar to Jeff taking Kennedy's question and see why I just took my answer. So perfectly stated. I would just echo everything he just said there. Very well said.
Got it. Thank you, guys.
Rich,
Jeff Wilson.
Hey, Ross, all that said, what is the Brandon Nimmo scouting report?
I think we've touched on it. A left-handed bat, it's platoon neutral. Obviously he's a complete player. He's played center field in the past. He's played more corner outfield lately. He can still run, can throw. Really good approach on base ability. Can really work a count. He's led off. He's hit multiple spots in the top half of the order. Run producer. He's been in my opinion, one of the more underrated players in this game. If you look back over the last few years in terms of outfielder, he's been one of the top 5, top 6 contributors in the outfield in terms of WAR and performance. So just a really good, complete all-around player and a winner. Somebody that wants to, as CY said, win championships and fits really well into the fabric of our roster and what we're ultimately trying to accomplish. So excited for the future here.
It seems like maybe his walks have gone down a little bit. Is there something there that you think you're getting an even better player who fits with the walks and the contact and all of that?
And we think, historically, that skill is a pretty sticky skill and something that players sustain late into their career. He still makes really good swing decisions. He still controls the bats extremely well. Some of that is year-to-year volatility, just some variance that happens with that, but it's a very stable skill and something that we feel will translate well here, and he'll carry forward as he continues to progress and age in his career. So,
Okay. And then injured guys. How are Berger, Seager, Carter? Let's start with those three.
yeah, everyone's doing well at this point. Most of those guys, Jake is probably close to about 90, 100% return. He'll be hitting here soon, I believe, in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Carter's doing excellent. He was downstairs for majority of his rehab. Went back to Tennessee. He's a full go at this point. And then Corey's had no issues. He's 100% ready to go. So all good there.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Kennedy.
Chris, you just mentioned, and I know we've talked about the ballpark situation a lot this offseason, but was there something about Nimmo that, makes you believe he can perform, I guess, in this new version of the ballpark you guys have been dealing with?
I think Kennedy, it's one, lefties have seemed to perform a little bit better than right-handed hitters in our ballpark over the last year, and then secondly, on base percentage is a skill that translates to any ballpark, and so those two things combined, I think one of the things that I think was problematic in our lineup last year was the volatility, and I think we've got a little more stability now by adding Brandon.
Thank you.
Jamie Newberg.
Hey, were you guys sweating Nemo's decision on his no trade clause, and how reaffirming is it that a guy who'd known one organization for 15 years approved this trade?
Yeah, Jamie, the answer is yes. I don't take for granted, his emotional connection and attachment to the Mets, the team that drafted him. In fact, I was playing for the Mets when they drafted Brandon, and Paul DePodesta was in the front office at the time and played a very large role in drafting Brandon. Paul's a good friend, and so I know how he felt about the player back then. I've followed his career because I was a Met when he was drafted. And so I understand the connection that he has to a great organization and a tremendous fan base. And so I don't take for granted how hard these decisions are for a player to really uproot your family. He made, he lives in Port St. Lucie, Florida, where their spring training facility is. This is a move that uproots, his family and a big life decision. And so by no means did I think that, yes, he should absolutely just, at the drop of a hat, waive his no trade provision and come to Texas. But I think one of the great things that I enjoyed in the process was, when the trade was close, being able to connect with Brandon and talk to him about, who we are as an organization, what we're looking to accomplish, why we're going to win moving forward, and how he's going to play a significant role in that. And in those conversations, it became very clear to me, and I'm not going to speak for him, but it became very clear to me that there was complete alignment in terms of what we're looking to accomplish, what his goals are, and how we view the game, how we view culture, chemistry, commitment to teammates, and bring out the best in each other. And it was really, really comforting to hear that, because sometimes, you get into these things, you're not sure, how a player is going to feel about those things. And those things are really, really important to him. And for me, I had really, really a great feeling after our conversation that, this could come together.
Great, thanks.
Go ahead, Sean.
Chris, I think there might have been a report that he had a chat with Jacob deGrom before he waived his no trade clause. Did you guys talk with Jacob at all about this, considering his background with Brandon?
No, Sean, we did not. It probably would have made sense to do that, but these things are very fragile and delicate, and the more people that you involve, the harder it is to keep under wraps. And so we did not. I did not realize that Brandon spoke to Jacob, so he can probably elaborate on that conversation. But I'm hopeful that played a role or a part in him choosing to be here.
All good. And then Ross, just quickly for you, you talk about internal candidates that could fill the second base position. Does this impact or change at all anything you guys want to do with Sebastian Walcott in the future? I guess we're at that point of the year. We'll ask the yearly Walcott future question. So,
No, I don't think so. I think Sebastian's in a great spot, still on track. We've talked about a couple different things with him, but I don't think this move has any impact on him whatsoever. And CY touched on the internal candidates that are already on the major league roster, and one thing we believe in is it's a meritocracy, and the best are going to find their way to figure out playing time, and this will sort itself out. So Sebastian's in a good spot, and in due time, we'll make a decision there. But he's doing really well, so all good there.
Thank you.
Hey, I don't know how to raise my hand, so can I ask a question?
You can, yes. I appreciate that, Kevin.
I appreciate it. Thanks very much, Chris. So, Chris, do you have a better idea now of what the budget is you're working with for next season?
Yeah, Kevin, we have a rough idea. It's not set yet. And, I think as we go here, we do have room to operate. We're excited about, what we have in place right now, but it's our job as a front office to round out this roster. And, the one thing that I've said is that when there's the ability to go out and get something that's going to help us win, ownership's been very good about allowing us the ability to do that. So, it's not going to be at the levels it was the last couple years. We know that, and we're good with that. We don't need that. What we need is our group to play to the level that they're capable. And if they do that, this team is really, really good, and they're built to win. So, but we have, as a front office, work to do in terms of completing this roster, and we don't expect budget constraints to get in the way of that. We expect to have the resources we need to round out a really good roster.
So I'm assuming there's no money coming back from the Mets, right?
There is a little cash coming back from the Mets to offset the money we're taking on in the future.
Okay. So is the money, that you're saving on this deal, is that something to get you a reliever or two, or is this something that could be possibly formulated in a larger package for a free agent?
Well, considering last year we built a bullpen at about $10 million, I think it'd get us about 8 relievers, depending on who we choose. I say that tongue in cheek, that there are a lot of good options out on the market. What it allows us to do is have flexibility and creativity in terms of what we want to do and who we want to target. And I think as a front office in the last few years, we've had some pretty good decision making with our processes internally. And my hope is that will continue. And so we've got some good options. We're going to regroup today. This trade has been on the front burner for us for the last week. It's really occupied the majority of our time. And so today, after this Zoom, we're going to regroup as a front office and talk through the next steps and where we want to go and what we want to target and how we're going to kind of work towards, finishing the roster.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.